several months ago, I had the awesome opportunity to come back and to hang out with these guys and to talk about what was God had been doing in their lives. I left that time and later wrote that I truly believe that God was going to use my boys, these men, to change the world. That is how much influence they had on this world. You know what? I still believe that God is going to use their lives and the lives they lived and their testimonies to change this world. There's an old quote that says the world has yet to see what God can do when one person is truly sold out to Him. And I like to think that the world has yet to see what God is going to do through the testimonies and the legacies of my boys. I believe the lives of my boys were not lived in vain. What they did on this earth will and is echoing in eternity. And now that eternity has begun, I know that the message they would send you, their family, today is, what does your eternity look like? They would say they had a great life, and they would attribute that their relationship to Jesus Christ is the reason for that. And they would want the same for you. They would ask and beg you to know Christ the way they knew Him. Here are some of my favorite memories of my boys. When I think about Kenneth, he had an infectious smile. That dude was always smiling. He just would light up a room when he came in that room. Handsome young man who was full of cheer. And I don't ever remember an unkind word coming out of his mouth. He made you feel good about yourself. He made you feel better because he was your friend. My favorite memory, and this one day I was sharing with you last night, of Kenneth was, he did this multiple times, but we went to a mission trip to New Orleans, and we would get dirty every day, and Kenneth was so particular about certain things in detail and the way he looked and took care of himself. Every night, he would grab an electric toothbrush and a bar of soap, and he had these black Converse shoes with a white rim around them, and he would take them to the bathroom, and he would get that bar of soap and put that electric toothbrush on it, and he would spit shine those shoes every single night because, again, he wanted to look good for the ladies. I love that about him. He was particular about details and certain things. Some of my favorite memories about Birddog, one also came from that trip to New Orleans where they asked someone to pray over dinner, and there's about 500 students there. And Birddog, and if you don't know what I'm thinking or what I'm saying here, you'll be tracking with me in just a moment, but he talked about, he had a Talladega Night moment where in front of all these people, he got up and prayed to dear baby Jesus. And while it was one of the funniest things I've ever been a part of, the inside of me was saying, please, no, that's not good. He just had that way about him. My other favorite memory of Birddog was a couple years back, we took a man trip and we went camping. And we took him snipe hunting. And if you don't know what that is, ask somebody afterwards. We took him out in the woods, and we kind of played a joke on him, and we said, here, stand here with your bag, and we're going to go down here, and we're going to flush the snipe out to you. You catch him in your bag, and and we'll come get you. Well, basically, what you're trying to do is leave him out in the woods and pull a prank on him. So we took him out in the woods, and we left him out there with his bag, and we walked back to camp, and an hour later, we hadn't seen him. And we're like, man, I wonder where he's at, what he's doing. And so we hiked back to get him, and there he is an hour later, right where we left him, waiting on some snipe. Yeah. But I want to share with you two things that my boys have taught me over the last couple of months. Because, again, I think they lived a life of influence, and their lives are teaching us even to this very moment. The last deep conversation I had with both of these guys was a while back. I had the opportunity to sit and talk with them about spiritual things and just kind of see where their life was at. They both, at this point in their life, had a lot of questions about certain things. They were wondering, why does God do this? Why does God do that? Why does God allow certain things to happen in this world? And at the end of this conversation, they both assured me that while they were still searching for answers, they would never let go of God. Where else could they go was their cry. As I thought about that conversation in light of what we're going through, I couldn't help but think that my boys would tell us now, with our doubts, with our questions, with our emotions, to never let go of God. To the Tucson Youth Group, in this time of questions and wild emotions, these guys would encourage you to hold on to one another and cling to God together. May you be each other's rock, and may you live the life that these guys demonstrated for you. A life that lives for God and invites others to join in this journey. To the other students here today, please know that this place, this Tucson Youth Group, is a unique bunch of students and leaders who truly care for one another. They welcome you with open arms to come be a part of this family. After that conversation I had with those guys that day, I wrote them. And in light of their emotions, and in light of the fact that Birddog had decided to sport some spandex publicly when he joined the wrestling team, I directed them to some verses found in Genesis chapter 32, where it said that Jacob wrestled with the Lord. He wrestled with the Lord, and he told the Lord that he wouldn't let go of him until he blessed him. I told the guys that there may be times where you don't understand, and we feel like we're wrestling for answers. Never let go of God. Rather, hold on to him until he blesses you. Family, friends, students, I tell you that because I know many of you today, in the weeks and months and years to come, will be wrestling with God, have questions for God. And these guys would say, I know this to be true, these guys would say, hold on to God and don't let go until he speaks peace into your heart. The end result for Jacob in Genesis chapter 32 was he was changed. His name was changed to Israel. He was forever, ever changed. We all have been forever changed by this experience. And Sri and Wendy and all the rest of the family, I believe that these guys want you to hold on to God until he blesses you. Until you sense that peace that only God can give. May God remind you that he loves you more than you could ever know. May God show himself to you in ways that you have never experienced him before. May through this experience we come to know and understand just how deep and high and wide the love the Father has for his children. May God forever change us for his glory as we wrestle with him. And the second thing our boys taught us is how to live life. They were best friends. They did everything together. They played together. They loved together. They went to school together. They probably hit on the same girls together. And this past week, best friends, they went home together to be with Jesus. They needed each other. They lived out what we know to be true, especially in times like this. We need each other. We need to love one another. We need to care for one another. We need to carry each other's burdens. And we need to be there for one another. In the days to come, the question all of us will ask is, how can we get through this? How can we make it through a time such as this? And the answer comes from looking at the example these guys gave us. How will we make it through in the days to come? We'll do it together. Together. Today, we wrestle with God, and together, we will get through this. It's amazing that God is still leveraging the influence of these two young men on us right now. Our boys set an example for us to follow. Life is best lived when we do it together. Everyone needs a Birddog and a Kenneth in their life. Now, we need to be Birddogs and Kenneths for one another. The best way to honor these guys is to live out the life they would want for you. A life that pursues God. That's the mission Jesus is on. That's the mission these boys lived out. And that's the mission they're calling you to.